Hi everybody, Hal Weeks, Stalking the Wild Autoharp. Have you ever had the scenario where you're listening to music and suddenly you become aware you hear a familiar sound in the back and you listen more carefully and you realize that there's an Autoharp in the mix? Yeah. It's happened to me many, many times. And it's almost always the same. It's always the Autoharp is mixed way in the background. And what you'll hear is this. That's about all it's doing, is it's making like one big strum. Every few bars you'll hear that. And that's it. It's like that's the cliche of what we hear from the Autoharp and what people seem to think the Autoharp does. In other words, it's being underplayed and underrepresented by the folks. I assume that there's somebody there in the studio playing the Autoharp who has abilities on other instruments. And they could certainly pull more out of the Autoharp than they're doing, even with very limited Autoharp experience. Let's say they play guitar. They can certainly do some other stuff than what they're doing. But it's like it doesn't even occur to them in thinking about the Autoharp that the Autoharp might be worth doing more with. And it's always been my desire to put it out there to the musical world that the Autoharp is capable of more than that. And the musical world doesn't seem to get the hint, or doesn't seem to get the message, or doesn't seem to see or hear or consider. And that's one thing, is that people are always surprised when they find out, for example, that the Autoharp is capable of melody. And sometimes very involved, elaborate melody. And that is something that is beyond those musicians who are just picking it up incidentally to have a different sort of sound in there. They have not worked that out, how to do that. So all they're capable of doing maybe is some chords, but they could certainly be strumming some rhythm, but there's other instruments that do that. They could be doing that on guitar, so why are we going to do it on the Autoharp? One thing that always puzzles me is, don't people realize that the Autoharp is unusual and unique, and therefore something that could be unique about them if they had one in their band or on their album or in their sound that would give them an edge over the competition? Oh, that's cool. That's different. What is that? Attention. Boom. Or does that escape them because they look at it and they see buttons and chords? Oh, it's a harpsichord. And they don't even think. Even musicians, well-versed musicians, miss this about the Autoharp. Ooh, I need to retune. Now, I'm not really talking to those of us who do know this stuff. Obviously, most of my fans get that the Autoharp is capable of more. And I'm not really talking to those of us who are amateurs and just want to have some fun pushing and strumming some chords. And they're aware that it can do more, but they're not interested in doing more with it. That's great. That's great. The fact that you can make some music sooner and get into making some musical sounds, and that is satisfactory for you, that's great. That's fantastic. I'm not really addressing those people. Instead, I'm talking about professional musicians who pick up the Autoharp and throw it into the back of their mix as a chord machine. Or I'm addressing those singers, we've all seen them online, maybe you're one of them, who have a phenomenal voice, but their Autoharp playing is very rudimentary. They are just playing some simple chords and backing themselves up and allowing all the other musicians to fill in and take care of all the fancy stuff. And their thing is the voice. What I wanted to say was that my original desire to bring all of this Autoharp fanciness in front of the musical world and show people that the Autoharp was capable of more, really drove me to learn new styles and new techniques. And like the whole paradigm behind the Prism for me was this: do more with the Autoharp. Let's push it into other realms and make it more than what it has always been. But the Autoharp has been pushing back now on me. Maybe it's because I'm getting older. Maybe it's because I'm giving up. But I'm starting to play simpler and simpler. And you've heard me talk about this. I have been simplifying my styles and playing just some of the basic 3-chord music. That's where the good songs are. Simpler is better. And I've always known that. And I've always sort of been herded to that by the Autoharp, because I was a classical composer before I picked up the Autoharp, and the Autoharp drove me into basic chord forms, majors, minors, sevenths, and that's all for 17 years before I started playing the Prism, where I got to use some of those other chord forms. And now I'm preferring just those old-timey gospel tunes, the Carter family, the old-time country. I really, really, really love those basic things that you can do with a simple chromatic Autoharp. And it's because I'm playing at my level, because I'm playing at the Autoharp's level, instead of trying to push the Autoharp into these other extremes where it may or may not work. I am finding, where does the Autoharp sound best? And it's when I play simpler that I sound better, and the Autoharp sounds better. So the Autoharp pushed back, humbled me down, and taught me a few things. And so that's been At first, it was sort of a bitter pill. Sometimes it's a relief. Now, I agree that these limits can be pushed. And some of these things sound really good on the Autoharp. I love the sound of blues. Part of it is this washboardy sound, which is inherent in some skiffle music and jug band music. They actually use a washboard. But because the Autoharp is a scratch box, and it has that scratchy sound that everybody wants to get away from by building a better box, I say let's embrace that sound, that rustic Autoharp sound, and that's great for blues. It's not a blues guitar, though. Blues guitar has all those bendy notes and the slides and everything like that, which is phenomenal for blues. It's more like blues piano. And that's just one example. But my point is that the limits can be pushed into realms that we don't normally go, but some of those realms are maybe best left to other things. Now, this might be controversial. So I'm not drawing conclusions and I'm not making philosophical pronouncements like this is better, this is morally superior, this is the right attitude to have. I'm just putting it out there that, what do you think? Leave comments. Let's have discussion right here in the comments section to this video about this kind of stuff. Because I'm a little bit put off whenever I hear something new. It's like, oh, they're using an Autoharp in that song. It's like, yeah. But they're really not doing anything for the Autoharp there. And it's just the same old sound that we've always heard from the Autoharp. Couldn't it be a little bit can't there be some people who put in Autoharp a little bit more better, or give it a little bit, what do you think? And for those people who are getting out there with the Autoharp and putting the Autoharp up front in, say, pop music. There's some people who are using Autoharp in pop music now, but they're just strumming some chords. Is there something wrong with that? Well, no, but the Autoharp could give them the real edge. If they would do more with it, it would really make them stand out. They have phenomenal voices. But there's a lot of people with phenomenal voices. What if they were a person with a phenomenal voice who played the Autoharp? My thought. So the Autoharp is capable of more, but it sounds great when we do less with it. So where is the line? And so I'm going to leave you with those thoughts today because I've gone on for a while. I'm Hal Weeks. Remember my Patreon? Patreon.com/Hal Weeks, where you can chip in a few bucks a month to support me in supporting you in your Autoharp world. So, until next time, bye-bye.